I'm going to attempt to achieve the impossible today. I'm going to record a podcast while doing laundry. I'm going to attempt to finish this by the time my laundry gets done. I'm going to try to double duty today. Double duty. This is what I've been training for. I can do this. Hello. Welcome to the Booth Review Podcast. My name is Carter Gustin, and I am so glad that you're here spending some time with me today. What a lovely day as the thunder just cracks behind me. It is storming here in Auburn as of me recording this, so what perfect timing if I happen to jump, look scared in the middle of this. It's because I think I might be dying, but it's alright. I'm just going to ignore it for right now. No big deal. You know it's time for podcasting because I got my Gatorade, as always, half drinking. I never touch it during the show. I don't know why I bring it. I got my blue Sharpie notes all written up, and we're ready to go. Two squads today on the chopping block of my SEC spotlight little, I don't know. I want to use the word car wash because that's what they call it on SEC, on ESPN when they have all the coaches in. But that's kind of what it is. I just kind of go through every team. I got my trusty old schedule all right there. What a week it has been. It's been a great week, y'all. It's been a great week. I'm really happy right now. It's a great week. So let's just keep on rolling. Today I'll be looking at Georgia and Vanderbilt. Two squads moving in different directions, I think. One moving up, the other one just kind of staying where it is. But let's start with Georgia. Let's just go ahead and dive right on in. Georgia Bulldogs, 10-3 last year, 5-3 in the SEC. First-year coach Kirby Smart at Alabama. He spent a long time there. Upon asking, of course, he did play football at Georgia. He's a Georgia alum. And a lot of people asked, if he was waiting for the Georgia job, and he says, no, I was not waiting for the Georgia job. I was waiting for a good job. It's just the good job I got happened to be Georgia. And someone asked him, I listened to an interview with him just moments before recording this, and they asked if that was an advantage, having been a coach at the school you're coaching at, and there's a fly. All right, been like a squirrel, man. You never know. If there's an advantage to being the coach at a school that you had attended, and he said there was. He's like, I took these classes. I went to these buildings. I lived in these dorms. And when I say to these players and they're recruiting, I want you to come to Georgia. It's a good place. It's a great place. You can excel there. He can say that because I chose there. I picked that place. I also thought it was the best place in the world, and that's why I went. So he has just that extra little pitch, which I think will help him in his recruiting. And let me just say, I like Kirby Smart. I don't know why. Something about him, I just kind of like him. I don't know. Who knows? I kind of like him. I will say I like his style of football. Very, very similar to Will Muschamp. But I do really like his style. But one thing that he did talk about with this season coming up is a big thing for Georgia is he wants uniformity. That's the word he used. And today's day and age, that is difficult. For a football team, that is very difficult. But that's what he wants. Oh, that flies back. All right, I'm just going to whatever. He wants this team to be uniform. And that's going to be difficult. But maybe he can do it. It's just going to be difficult. He did say, with freshmen coming in, it's hard to get them. He made a joke kind of back to his playing days when he said, when you were a freshman, you came in, you shaved your head, you were taught and you were told what's what, and that was it. No questions asked. You can't really do that now. So it's a little bit hard for him to really take control. But he said that a lot of the players just kind of gave him instant credibility because he's won national championships. While not all on him, no, but he did win national championships at Alabama. So there's kind of an instant credibility boost there for him. But let's this Georgia team. There is an issue, and it's a glaring issue, and it is injuries. And it's injuries in key positions. And let's be honest, they went 10-3 last year. Honestly, a healthy Georgia team last year goes 12-1, 11-1, winning their bowl game. They probably didn't make. I don't know. Maybe they make it to an SEC championship. I guess with that record, they would have made it to an SEC championship. So honestly, I really do think the Georgia team last year, without injuries, would have been really, really good. The problem is they got a lot of injuries in a lot of key positions, and they missed the middle part of the year. But that always happens with Georgia, though. Doesn't it? This year, no different. It's already started. Sonny Michel broke his arm, compound fractured his arm while riding an ATV. He just got out of surgery about two weeks ago, I believe what it was, 2 weeks ago. He's day-to-day. Nick Chubb, as well, is recovering from injury. Kirby Smart said it was more of a psychological hurdle now that he has to get over. So maybe he'll get over that, and maybe he'll be ready to go. Sonny Michel is kind of a maybe he will be ready for the season. We don't really know. The fact of the matter is those are two really great players. Nick Chubb is on the watch list for the Heisman, and let's be honest here, just on the subject, little tangent here, I hate that crap. I hate watch lists. I especially hate the Heisman watch list because nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody who's won the Heisman. I mean, that's not true. Often, the person who wins the Heisman was not on the top of the watch list the year before. Leonard Fournette last year, he wasn't on the watch list. He almost won it last year. Cam Newton wasn't on it when he almost won. I mean, and those are just the two that popped in my head at first. I mean, there's umpteen different examples. The thing is, I hate these stupid watch lists. They're dumb. But regardless, they exist and he's on them. So Nick Chubb, he needs to be healthy. He needs to be healthy all year. If they can stay healthy all year long, the two of them, they'll do some damage. In the SEC especially, they will do some damage. And as a common trend has been with these SEC media days, these SEC schools, this is the third team I've looked at so far. Third team quarterback competition. Once again, another school, another question at quarterback. Three guys, Bryce Ramsey, Grayson Lambert, two guys with experience, and an incoming freshman, Jacob Eason, who has a lot of talent, a lot of upside, and a lot of people are really high on. But he has no experience. Okay, that's a little issue. Right now, I think Grayson Lambert would be he'd be my starter, and I think he's kind of the collective favorite right now. And we'll look, and I'll bring this back up again when we look at their schedule, go game by game, because a lot of that, and I honestly haven't even looked at it yet because I want to do it for the first time and just form my opinion just out of the blue. But a lot of issues with freshman quarterback is like, who they play, who they start in. As a freshman coming in, even with as much talent as he has, as a freshman coming in the SEC, you don't want him to lose his confidence. Because if you lose as a freshman, you're not going to play the same. And if he gets a little bit of playing time this year, does well, just able to build his confidence up, maybe he'll be good coming up. Maybe, just maybe he'll be good coming up. But I don't think he'll start. Some predictions as far as Georgia is concerned is I saw them finishing as high as second in the SEC East. I think that's a little high. I have them finishing as high as third behind Tennessee and Florida. But people think they'll be good. I honestly, as far as Georgia, I just don't really want to address the defense because let's be honest, it's been good. It was good last year. Kirby Smart is just going to make it better. That defense is going to be lights out this year. End of story. Enough said. That's really all you need to know. Georgia's defense, they're going to be good this year. They're going to be good as they are almost every year. Probably better this year though. And there's no surprise, nothing crazy. They're just going to be good. They've gotten better recruits, and they're going to be getting better on defense year in and year out as long as Kirby Smart is there. He's a defensive coach. He knows how to play defensive football. He's put together the best defensive units in the nation has ever seen regularly over the last 3, 4, 6, 7, 9 years. He's going to keep doing it. Defense is going to be good. Offense, as long as they stay healthy. But, honestly, Georgia's offense, every year, this is how it goes for Georgia's offense right now. They start off great. Quarterback breaks his leg. Both or three running backs break an arm, leg, torn MCL. Wide receiver goes down, punctures a lung. I mean, it's something crazy every year, but it's always boom, boom, boom. Everybody gets hurt. And then for 4 games, they have key players hurt. And then they'll come back and they'll start beating people again because they're a good team. But then because they lost those games in the middle, they don't look like a good of a team. And then every team that lost to them, those are bad losses. It's better for everybody if Georgia just stays healthy the whole season. It's just better for everybody if they just stay healthy all season long. But enough of my ranting about injuries at Georgia. Let's look at that schedule and also keep in mind the potential of a freshman quarterback starting these games. Georgia starts off with North Carolina. That's a neutral site game. I have them winning that, and they play Nicholls State. Okay, but all right, let's talk about North Carolina. Gene Chizik, defensive coordinator in North Carolina. It's a good defense. It's a good defense. Do you want your freshman quarterback starting as one of the better defenses in the nation? Because North Carolina has one of the better defenses in the nation. Better defenses in the nation. You don't really want that. Nicholls State, maybe you give them a shot there. Maybe. And if you name either Bryce Ramsey or Grayson Lambert the starter, and you start a freshman against Nicholls, nobody cares. It's Nicholls State. Nobody cares. That doesn't hurt anybody's feelings. Then you play Missouri at Missouri. Then you play at Ole Miss. And then you play Tennessee. So you got North Carolina, tough, challenging game, winnable game. Nicholls State, cupcake. Missouri, an SEC cupcake. And then Ole Miss. Ole Miss is hard to figure out right now. And then you play Tennessee. That's a tough one. At South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Florida, at Kentucky, Auburn, Louisiana Lafayette, and then ending with a rival in Georgia Tech. That's not that tough of a schedule. That being said, I have 4 losses on there. I've lost against Tennessee, Florida, and then at Kentucky, just because I kind of feel like that's a trap game for them. Going to play Florida, especially if they lose that game, and they're playing neutral site game, an emotional loss against one of their biggest rivals in Florida, then going on the road to play Kentucky, maybe they won't all be there. I see it as a trap game, and then playing Auburn at home between the hedges, of course, the oldest rivalry in the South, that's always a good game. Georgia usually has Auburn's number in that game, but yeah, I don't know. I just kind of got a feeling about that one. That was kind of one of those 50-50 games. But that's weird. I thought I had... No, that's right. That's right. It's kind of a 50-50 game, though. So... I don't know, but that's why I have them at 4 losses. So that's 4-4 in the SEC, 8-4 on the season. I have them finishing, I believe, that is 3rd in the SEC East behind Tennessee and Florida, which under a first-year coach, Kirby Smart in the East, that is getting better. And Georgia, who's had their problems with consistency. That's not that bad of a season. That's a respectable first season for a coach, I would say for sure, without a doubt. I think that's a really good season for a coach. I think Georgia fans and Kirby Smart and anybody associated with that program will be very happy with an 8-4 season. But there's potential for more. There's potential for a really, really good season there. So they might be able to pull something out. But don't be surprised. Really, it's going to be contingent on the running backs and how healthy they are. So keep an eye on that this season. If they stay healthy, Running backs stay healthy, they'll win more games. The more games they play in, the more games they'll win. So that's the one thing to look out for. So there's your Carter tip of the day. Hint of the day. I don't know. But as I said to start off this show, this is not a one-team show today. We're looking at two teams. So we're going to keep it in the SEC East. Look over at the Vanderbilt Commodores. Last season, going 4-8, 2-6 in the SEC. Head coach Derek Mason in his third season, getting his first conference wins last year. Both those coming at home, though, so still looking for his first road conference win. But that's a program moving forward, but I think they're kind of hitting their peak right now. And that's a kind of conversation I'll get into a second about what is Vanderbilt's ceiling. But let's look at Vanderbilt for what they are. For what they really are. They're historically a bad team. Commonly, they're just not going to be a great team because of their requirements and their for education, because they're called they're like an Ivy League school in the SEC, which is not that's just you can have that or you can have a good football team. It's kind of hard to have both. Stanford is the exception. But so and you just kind of have to accept that's where they are. But that being said, if you listen to the players at SEC Media Days, you listen to Derek Mason talk, they're very passionate, they're very confident, and they think they can play spoiler. And that's really, what the heck, I'll just go ahead and get in the conversation. What is Vanderbilt's ceiling? Let me rephrase that. What is the one thing at Vanderbilt that you would see as a success? Because it's not an SEC championship. Because let's be real here, they're not going to win one. Not anytime soon anyways. So what is it you're looking for out of the Vanderbilt team? Is it a 7-win season every year? Is it double-digit wins? Is it just making it to a bowl game every year? I don't know. I think it would probably be closer to the bowl game every year. I think if Vanderbilt were to consistently put together 3, 4, 7 years in a row where they make it to a bowl game, that'd be incredible. And I think in a program like Vanderbilt, they'd be happy with that. And they'd be okay if, every year they put together 6, 7 wins, 8-win season here, crazy, then go back to 6, 7 wins. I think you do that at Vanderbilt, I don't think anybody's upset. Nobody's upset with you at Vanderbilt if you do that. That's a good job. So John Franklin left. And I honestly think that's why he left. He left for Penn State, which is a worse program. Or when he left, at the time, Vanderbilt was here, Penn State was here. But the thing is, his growth at Penn State was potentially larger. Because at Penn State, you can grow more. You can win championships at Penn State. I don't think you can do that at Vanderbilt. But because of that, there's an issue as well there is Derek Mason. And I just kind of started thinking about this. Derek Mason, what is his goal? Because if he kind of accepts that fact that you're really just, at Vanderbilt, you're not set up to win a championship. How long can you keep a coach knowing that you're just going to get 6, 7 wins every year? At best. Right now, they're not even there. Right now, they're at 4 wins. But how long does he stay? So there's a consistency issue there. There's a buying in almost issue with how much does this university buy into the program and how much they want to commit to it. But it's an interesting thing to think about, because at Vanderbilt, that's something you have to consider. And that's the only place in the SEC you have to consider that, is at Vanderbilt. Nowhere else in the SEC do you have to say they can't win a championship because of what they are. And I feel like at Vanderbilt, what they are hinders their ability to win a championship. I made the joke on my radio show the other week. It was a serious question, but it was comical the way I phrased it. But what happens first? I make my first $1 million, or Vanderbilt wins the SEC championship. And the first thing Noah said on the show was, do you stay in this field? Because in the field I want to be in, there's not money in it. Let's be honest here. It's hard to make money in it. But he's still like, I'll take your $1 million. Because it's just not going to happen there at Vanderbilt. Where they are right now, the way the program, it just doesn't happen. All that being said, though, something interesting happened at SEC Media Days, and this kind of a smooth transition on my part I'm pretty happy with. Ralph Webb had a guarantee, a Super Bowl winning, we will win guarantee, saying that they will win against South Carolina in the first game of the season. That'd be big. That'd be huge. As Donald Trump, that'd be huge. Ralph Webb, I did 1,150 yards last year, and he is getting better. Derek Mason said he needs to learn to be an every down back, meaning he needs to learn how to block. Because if you can't block, that's why running backs don't make it in NFL. Not because they can't run, not because they can't catch a pass, it's because they can't block. They can't pick up the blocking assignments. That's the hardest thing for a running back to do. If you can do that, he will go far. He very quietly got 1,100 yards last year. He did a very good job last year. He's getting better. He needs to become an every down back. He needs to learn how to block. Because if he can stay on the field every down, because right now if he comes in, you're pretty certain it's not going to be, you're not going to run 5 receivers out. You're not going to run 4 receivers and him out on a pass pattern because you can just bull rush the quarterback. You can sack him before he gets it. So with him on the field right now, they are one-dimensional because he's getting, well, I don't want to say one-dimensional. He's just not as good at it right now. They're closer to one-dimensional with him on the field. But he needs to get better, and Derek Mason says he's getting better. We will see. We'll see that very quickly. But he's kind of always played with his chip on his shoulder, had an underdog mentality. So that really makes a player really good. And especially at a place like Vanderbilt, who's not respected in the SEC. If he puts together 1,500 yards this season, 15 touchdowns, Vanderbilt wins a lot of games if he does that. Let's just be honest here. They win a lot of games if he does that, barring everything else. But it's about putting balance on the offense, and that's part of the being an every down back. If he's an every down back, they can have balance on the offense. They have balance on the offense. You keep the defense guessing. They start playing better. It takes pressure off your quarterback. It takes pressure off Reveiw. It takes pressure off everybody on the field. And you start better on defense, or playing better on offense. Your defense starts playing better because they get more rest. And that defense is good. That defense is really good. One of the best in the SEC. The second best as far as improvement from year to year outside of North Carolina last year. North Carolina had the biggest improvement in defense. Vanderbilt had the second best in the entire nation. That's 128 Division I schools. Vanderbilt was second. That's a good defense. The team's not far away from winning some good games. And something interesting, it's kind of surprising and funny that it comes out of Vanderbilt. The fourth team we've looked at, this is the first team that has a quarterback named as a starter. Yeah, Vanderbilt has named a starter, Kyle Schumer. I tried to find some clips before to figure out a little bit more about him because I honestly don't know a ton about him. From what I've read, from what I've seen, what players have said about him, he's really good. Leader, he's got a mental edge is a word some players have used. But what all that says to me is no one's really commented on his arm strength. And maybe he is good. But what I see is all these players coming out saying he's a leader. He makes good decisions. He has a mental edge. No one's saying he makes great passes. I mean, obviously he's a good passer. He's the starter. But he is a cerebral quarterback. He is not a strong-arm quarterback. So, is there a concern with the arm strength there? I've seen some high school footage of him playing. There's a ton of that on the internet. But we will see. And that's always been Vanderbilt's Achilles heel for the last few years is they cannot score on offense. Have a lot of turnovers, and they cannot put points on the board. They're not the only team in the SEC that have that problem either. But they can't put points on the board. They need a strong offense. That defense is great. It's hard to score on that defense. But at the same time, when another team can only put 7 points up on your defense, but that's still enough to win the game, that says something about your offense too. And that happened a lot for Vanderbilt last year. Had a lot of both teams scoring a little points because the defense is great. The problem is the offense couldn't score anything either. So those games ended 10-3, 7-0. 14-7, because their offense can't score points. But the big thing for Vanderbilt is they need to have a starter. Kyle Schumer, he's the guy. He needs to be a starter the whole season, though, because I've seen Derek Mason coach a game where 4 different quarterbacks started in the same game. That doesn't work. That don't work at all. And it wasn't because they were injured either, because they all sucked. I remember it was against Temple. It was a Thursday night football game. I'll never forget it. It was the weirdest thing. It was like watching a baseball game, putting new pitchers in. Put 4 quarterbacks in one game. They lost to Temple, by the way, at home, that game. That didn't work. He needs to put one guy in for the whole season. If he does that, they're consistent. Maybe they start to do a little bit better. Just maybe. Just maybe. But looking at Vanderbilt's schedule and kind of transitioned into their schedule is what their and the thing about what their expectations are as I tell you what these teams are, what these games are. And I really do think that Vanderbilt has a real chance at playing spoiler for several teams this year in a trap game scenario, sleeper games. Let me go because I wrote this in alphabetical order, so they're on the last page. Let's see here. Let me not cover up my light. All right. They start off the season with South Carolina. And Ralph Webb guaranteed a victory in that game, so I'll believe it. Sure, I'll take that. I'll drink the Kool-Aid. I'll take Vanderbilt in the win over South Carolina in the first game of the season. Wow. I mean, good season for Vanderbilt, maybe. Let's see. They go Middle Tennessee, at Georgia Tech, at Western Kentucky, Florida, at Kentucky, at Georgia, Tennessee State, at Auburn, at Missouri, Ole Miss, and in a rivalry game against same state foe Tennessee. It's a fairly tough schedule. Going to have to play some pretty difficult competition here. But let's think about it. South Carolina, week 1, anything can happen. Vanderbilt has all the confidence in the world. South Carolina is coming off one of their worst seasons in recent history, getting a new coach. I can very easily see Vanderbilt winning that game. Another one to look at in week 5 against Florida. Florida will be coming off a game against Tennessee, in which I expect that to be a very tough game, a very exciting game. That's one of the games I'm most excited for this whole season, is that Florida-Tennessee game. And if Florida comes off an emotional loss or a close game, they might be looking past Vanderbilt. So don't be surprised if Vanderbilt might pull out a shocker there. And then same thing against Kentucky. And Kentucky's a very beatable team. But they'll be coming off a game against Alabama the week before. And once again, Kentucky plays Alabama really well every year. So maybe, just maybe, they could get a couple road wins, a couple SEC wins there. I have them going 4-8, 1-7 in the SEC. However, but Florida and Kentucky, I have both those as L's right now. But I could very easily see those going down both as W's. Florida's a little bit harder to swallow than Kentucky, but don't be surprised if Vanderbilt plays that game really tough, because their defense keeps them in games, and if their offense can get a couple good bounces, good calls, just maybe. I'm starting to sip the Vanderbilt Kool-Aid a little bit. Just maybe. But there you have it. I didn't get scared by any thunder while recording. I think the storm is kind of moving away. That fly did scare me a little bit. I'm not going to lie with you guys. Not every day you're sitting here. Well, I guess. I don't know. Just wasn't really expecting to see something flying around in my face. But that's all right. And there you have it. 2 SEC teams done. 4 down, 10 to go. What a time to be alive. SEC football is still fast approaching. I'm very excited. I'm trying to see. Let me see who's next. Mississippi State and Tennessee. 2 teams next on the chopping block. I'll be taking a look at both of them. Tennessee is a team I'm very excited about, so I'm really excited to kind of break them down, really look at them. But thank you guys for joining. I really appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching. This is the Booth Review Podcast. My name is Carter Gustin. You can follow me on Twitter. That's at Carter_Gustin. Check out my website, cartergustin.com. As always, call me, beat me if you want to reach me. But thank you very much for the Booth Review Podcast. My name is Carter Gustin. I am signing off. Until next Wednesday, thank you very much. Have a very safe week, and just be awesome, guys, because you guys are great. Thank you.